When you think about motivation, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's this lonely battle, right? It's you against your own procrastination, a total struggle of willpower. But what if we've been looking in completely the wrong place? Some amazing research out of Stanford suggests the real secret to motivation has way less to do with grit and a whole lot more to do with connection. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The idea that your drive, your motivation, isn't just some solo mission. It's something that can be sparked and even sustained by the people around you. And I mean, in some really surprising and super minimal ways. So that brings us to this core concept, this fascinating idea called mere belonging. Now, I know it sounds kind of simple, but trust me, its effects are anything but. All right, so what exactly is mere belonging? Well, think of it like a little motivational boost you get from even the smallest social connection. And look, we're not talking about your best friend or your family here. Nope, we're talking about really trivial stuff, like finding out you share the same favorite band with someone, or even just being told you're part of a group, no matter how random that group is. It's like the very first step, the doorway to a social relationship. And this idea isn't some newfangled psychological trend. This goes way back. I mean, centuries ago, the philosopher David Hume basically said the same thing. He pointed out how we humans are just wired to sympathize with each other, to kind of soak up the feelings and motivations of the people around us. So what this new research does is give some real, hard scientific evidence to back up that classic idea about who we are. Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we know this stuff actually works in the real world? Well, the proof is in a series of just brilliantly designed experiments. And they show just how sensitive our motivation is to these tiny social cues. So let's dive into the evidence. So check this out. In the first experiment, they had students read a report about the university's math department. Pretty simple, right? But here's the twist. One group got a version that talked all about math as a way to develop your own personal skills. Let's call that the skill promotive version. The other group, they read a report that framed math as a place for teamwork, for social interaction, the relational version. And the difference was so subtle. Just a few words changed and a different picture. And the results? Honestly, they were stunning. The students who read about math as this collaborative, social thing, they kept working on an impossible math puzzle for an average of 11 minutes and 8 seconds. Now, compare that to the other group. They gave up at just under 8 minutes. We're talking a difference of more than 3 minutes. That's a 40% jump in persistence just from a tiny change in how the activity was framed. Wild, right? Okay, so framing something as collaborative obviously helps, but the researchers, they wanted to push it. They wanted to see just how minimal this connection could be. I mean, what if the social link was totally random, totally insignificant? What if it was just sharing a birthday with some math major you've never even met? The answer, 65%. I'm not kidding. A 65% increase in how long they stuck with that impossible puzzle. And all because they were told they shared a birthday with the person who wrote a math report. This is where things get really wild. How on earth can a link that small have such a massive impact on our drive? So, for the third experiment, they made the connection even more abstract. They brought people into the lab and just randomly gave them an identity. Some people were told, okay, you are the puzzles person, and they got a sticker with a unique number. The others, they were told, you are in the puzzles group, and they got a sticker with a color that they shared with other people in the room. And this one revealed something really important, a key detail. It turns out, for students who were already kinda into math, being part of that puzzles group gave them a huge boost in persistence. But, and this is a big but, for the students who couldn't care less about math to begin with, the group label did nothing. So, what does that tell us? It shows that this mere belonging thing is like a powerful amplifier. It cranks up the interest you already have, but it can't magically create motivation out of thin air if you're just not into something. But here's the real kicker. This boost in motivation wasn't just some temporary thing that happened in the lab. Nope. Up to 2 weeks later, these same people were invited to a totally separate online study. And guess what? The folks from the puzzles group voluntarily chose to tackle harder puzzles than the people who were just a puzzles person. That feeling of connection actually created a lasting change in what they found interesting. Okay, so we've seen that it works, we've seen the proof, but the really big question is, why? Why do these tiny, almost meaningless social cues have such a huge effect on our drive? Well, the research points to a few really powerful psychological drivers. First off, just connecting with someone over a shared goal that taps right into our fundamental human need for social bonds. Simple as that. Second, being part of a group, any group, just makes us feel better about ourselves. It boosts our self-worth. And finally, and this one is huge, we seem to just automatically absorb the goals of people we feel connected to, even a little bit. Their goals kind of become our goals, and they just merge into who we are without us even realizing it's happening. So this is way more than just a fascinating little bit of psychology. This is a practical tool. It's like a social superpower that you can actually use to boost motivation, not just for yourself, but for other people too. So the question is, how do you actually put it to work? Let's break down some simple steps. Okay, so how do you use this? It's actually pretty simple. First, just take a minute to create those small connections. It can be as easy as a quick icebreaker before a meeting starts. Second, and this is important, point out the connection. Actually say it out loud. Saying something like, hey, you both love that TV show, isn't just small talk. You're actually flipping a motivational switch. And finally, frame whatever you're doing as a team effort. Use words like we and us. Make it crystal clear that people are working with each other, not just next to each other, to hit that shared goal. So this really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The next time you're up against a challenge, whether it's at work, at the gym, in your studies, whatever, don't just dig deeper and try to find more willpower inside yourself. Instead, look around you. Because the real secret to your motivation, it might just be a mere connection away. So I'll leave you with this question. Where in your life could a small social link make the biggest difference?